Good afternoon, everyone. My name's PJ Gentry. I'm one of the county commissioners here. I was the liaison and developer of this particular EDC task force. The mission of this task force originally and still today was to look for other mechanisms to help fund and promote economic development in Person County. Contrary to a lot of public comments and belief, there was nothing stated or nothing planned on tearing down the current structure of what we're utilizing. We're looking for additional help and information and options. And so in doing so, we appointed 5 business leaders from the community. One cannot be here today at a conflict with his schedule, but 4 of the task force members are here to kind of briefly restate the work that they have done and what they found. The information that we were trying to present at a commissioners meeting was interrupted. And I think there was some confusion as to the information that was being transferred to the public, related to the public. So they're here to clarify some of the things, and I'm just thrilled that they're here today. They're busy schedules. They're taking a lunch break here with us, and we're going to feed them lunch afterwards. So anyway, at this time, I would like to turn this over to Tommy Winstead to go ahead and with some opening remarks.
I appreciate everyone agreeing to meet back here, and all of our task forces here except for Keith Epstein. He had a previous engagement. So to my far left, David, if you'll introduce yourself.
I'm David Zolkowski. I'm the CEO at Person Memorial Hospital.
I'm Cecil Barker. I'm a co-owner of Legacy Building Company located here in Roxborough.
Randy.
I'm Randy King. I'm the founder of Electronic Solutions Incorporated in Uptown Roxborough.
And I'm Tommy Winstead, a local realtor here. So the task force was Zoom met with several economic development counties. I think it was 6 counties, and some of us on our own reached out to other counties and, for information. Some information was acquired looking through the internet, comparing and looking at different things. And so what I'm going to go over are my notes, and then of course everyone will have their information, can chime in at any time. But I think one of the things that stood out the most that we would like to see achieved is a private industrial economic group that's individually set up away from running concurrent with the EDC board that's there now, but this would be a private board. One of the things we looked at and talked about, and it was a big thing, was having a product to sell. Part of that being so many places now that has this equation and group in place. They have been doing this for many years, and they have spec buildings that are available. Spec building may only be a shell of the building, would not have a concrete floor in it, but the property is already in a process that sometimes may take 2 years to get to that point. So as in most things are today, everybody wants it as quick as they can get it. So with that, if a particular customer coming to Person County wanting to locate, through that process of locating land, going through the zoning, going through the watershed, getting that point to being able to build is obviously going to be a much longer process, that 3 to 4 years, where so many of our competing counties have availability for this extra money through this private group that can go out and already have a building that is in this, moved along to this point. So they're able to, maybe in 6 months to a year, achieve what, either if it's a expansion or if it's a new business that is going into that particular building. So the private economic development creation allows ability to be able to go out and contact individual property owners. They can go out and work with a bank to actually, and banks are involved with these other counties in places that they will actually offer a great deal for this private partnership to be able to move forward for, let's say, 12 months and have a very reduced amount of rate, and possibly no interest on the money, to be able to have a product that's, available, or at least move them down a path that's a lot faster for them to move forward. These are set up in many, many different ways. And there's a pack of notes there, and I apologize, I didn't have time or the administration to type that. But if you look through there, it's set up in many different ways. Some of them can have a couple of hundred members that pay into it. Some of those can have 15 members and they pay into. Those members have a voting share, and those people obviously pay into it. Sometimes it's a 3-year commitment. Sometimes it's a 5-year commitment that they pay into it. And they are able to have these projects moving forward. And it can be many things. It could be for a shell building, or it could be contacting a particular landowner who may be willing to sign in a contract that it's something they're willing to sell at a certain price. That way the EDC, everyone can promote that and advertise that as it goes forward. This is a perpetual board that moves forward so that, people come on and roll off and roll back on. Some of them you serve a 3-year term, you're off a year and you can come back on. But many different ways to structure it is something for me. I thought that to study it, to find what is the best fit for Person County. We saw many different structures of many different population areas, but looking at it to try to create what's best for here. And many of the members that have participated on these boards in donation of money are already some of the industrial people we already have here now. And they've been doing this for 20 years and beyond. So just for example, some of the investor levels on some of those where they have 100 or more members, the membership level could be $250, $500, $2,000 a year, or getting into where you have 15 big members and you may have like a diamond, bronze, different level sponsorships that would fund that money into that. One of the options that one of the counties has performed in was campaign fundraising, which I was a part of, or was with the Raise the Roof at RCS. So being a co-leader in that, we raised over $1.5 million to retrofit that gym and auditorium that's there, which is very proud of that. And hopefully this is something that this will move into to have that same result. Back to the buildings too, SIBO probably could attest to this. I've noticed over the last 20 years, we moved away from, in the residential part, away from more custom, built homes, especially after the economy went down in 2007 or 8. Coming back for the longest time, it seemed like the only way to sell a lot was you had to put a spec house on it. And I don't know if it has continued that. I know there's a lot of custom builds on the lake, but I think too, what I noticed, even in the industrial part, that seemed to be the norm too, that people are looking for that faster, get into whatever they can get into to, you know, I know when they see the company's ready to expand and they notice they're doing well, to wait 3 or 4 years and they have the opportunity to go somewhere and be able to get into something with 6 months to a year is going to be much more lucrative to them. And the models are in many different ways set up, you know, where it involves, you know, at some point, obviously, it's going to involve everything in a community. And I know that first page right there on the top, you know, it says teamwork, collaboration with everything and everybody. So we have a great setup here with everything we've had, you know, of all our different agencies. And we were happy to serve on the board and want to take this opportunity to notice everyone has served. Veterans Day coming up. I know, Mr. Palmer, you served. We appreciate your service and everyone else here that may have served. I'll turn over my part now to whoever wants to speak next.
I'll talk just briefly. One of the things that Wilson County and several of the other counties that we interviewed, one of the most important things that I got from talking to those counties is that, hey, you've got to have a product to sell. If you're trying to attract an industry to your county, you know, you've got to have something to put them in, whether that be a site that's already shovel ready, or whether that's a shell building where they can go in and upfit. But that was one of the things that kind of stuck out to me from interviewing Wilson, Randolph, Alamance, Rockingham counties.
Yes. So first, let me just say I have limited time. I'm gonna have a 12:30 back at the hospital that I'm gonna have to get back for. But as we interviewed these counties, I just quickly jotted down what I considered to be characteristics of successful EDC, economic development, as we interviewed. And you know, some of this will be a repeat, but for sure having product is important. A simple process around economic development, I think, is a common theme we heard. I think having support of the local businesses and having the local businesses actively involved in economic development was really important. The ability to do fundraising and to raise funds to support economic development from the local communities. And then, you know, having a really strong sales and marketing function were kind of the 5 characteristics that I jotted down as we interviewed these various communities. And good, bad, right, or wrong, I think the mechanism to accomplish this was through a successful private-public partnership where another entity, I think what we heard most notably was a nonprofit entity, really can help supplement and improve upon and really drive some of these 5 characteristics that were common. So there were 5 characteristics, and the model we saw again and again was sort of a nonprofit entity that can work hand in hand with governmental, sort of the governmental part of the EDC, to really make sure that we have a solid process from both sides. And so that was, it's similar, you know, to what was already said, but that was my takeaway. And that was my takeaway.
Yeah, I have the same comments that those guys have. We're all in the same settings, heard the same presentations, asked questions of all the presenters. The private-public part of this, I think, is the key thing that we determine besides having a product to sell. When you have a client coming to town looking to locate here, you need an advocate for that person. That person doesn't need to have to go to 10 different people, chamber, EDC, permits, environmental studies, you know. they want that out of the way. So if you got a property already ready, except for the details, putting in the floor, putting in electric, plumbing, chemical lines, whatever they may need. If you got that product there, then you've already cleared out of the way the permitting, most of the permitting process. So we think that public-private organization, and we're not quite sure how that would look exactly right now. You know, our charge was to look at other counties and what they're doing. That was our only charge. It wasn't to evaluate what we're doing. It's look at other counties and see what they're doing and see if we could use it in Person County. That was our charge. That was our only charge. And it's still our charge. The next phase is if we get acceptance on, yeah, let's look at private, public combination. How do you do that? May we go back to some of these counties and ask them, how did you do it? How did you start a public private? How were you able to raise millions of dollars, you know, privately and control that with a nonprofit? How are we able to do that? So that's the things we need to learn. And that's the next phase. We've had some studies done. I was actually the chairman of the board of RUDC, which is Uptown Development Corporation. And in 2006, we did a study and we had representatives from all these groups, EDC, Chamber of Commerce, TDA, Uptown Development, county government, city government. I mean, you name it. It was a lot of man hours put into the study. I also understand that there was a study started and a process started with the Board of Commissioners some years ago along the same lines of looking at a public-private partnership and how that could work here. So there's some work been done already that may be possibly revived and modified to fit what we have today. This study was 15 years ago, but a lot of the things still apply. The assessments we had of the county and business and how we go about business attracting new potential clients that bring in good paying jobs. So that's my spiel. And I think at this time if we got questions about something we heard or said, we'd be willing to take those questions.
How important is it to have somebody to be that advocate that you refer to answer the phone calls, to return the phone calls, to be available when industry is available to show a piece of property?
I'll personally speak and say, I think it's very important. When I was on the EDC board, which is back in the 2006, 2007 range, Jim Stovall was the chairman. Glenn Newsom was the EDC person. At that time, if you wanted something done in Person County as far as a business, you see Jim Stovall. You go to him, and Jim knew where to go. And he was a salesman. You know, he was part owner in Tar Heel Chevrolet. And he was a daggone good salesman with Person County. And he knew he had to have a product. But he knew the contacts. And so that, I think that's extremely important to have that one person to go to. It can cross all the lines. It can go to government and get what needs there and do it quickly. When you go in a dealership looking at an automobile, a lot of times you walk out with one not thinking you're going to buy one when you went there, but it's because that salesman, sold you on that problem. And I think having an advocate in the public-private sector like a Jim Stovall is very important.
I'll just add that to me, you hit the key word, which is kind of sales and marketing, and just to remind that, I mean, whether you call for a new door, new garage door opener, get your heating repaired, your HVAC repaired. I mean, if you call a company and it's, they're not available to take calls and work through the issue. I mean, we're selling ourselves as a community and as a county around attracting businesses here. So I just would echo that this is very much of a sales and marketing business or function.
And I would add to that too, along the lines of like customer service. So my partner I've worked with 37 years, he had a requirement that if someone walked in the door, you ask them, could you help them before they reach the counter, if possible? So in the fast-paced world we move in today, and especially in real estate, is key. You got to get back to the people really quick because life moves on and customers can move on also.
I have a question. One of the things that I think that we all talked about was a relationship between the private and public sector. I would call that collaboration. To me, that collaboration is key, and if you don't have that, then you will not have success. Do you have anything to say about that private and public collaboration that needs to take place?
Well, obviously that is critical. The first page of the packet that I passed out, at the very top of the page, first note, teamwork, collaboration. And I won't go over because I don't want to miss anybody, but it includes everything. City, county, and I said I wouldn't go over, but yes, that is critically important. But I think too, what's critically important too, is that team members have the team concept. I've coached for 28 years. I've played, some of you in sports for many, many years. And I think the military adopts this also. I mean, it's a common goal that's greater than anyone participating, and everybody has to buy into that, because if anyone, and we implemented this at the Little League in 2006, but I learned a lot at the Little League. Myself and two other people started the Little League in 2006. It was a great experience, but everybody pulling, and I use a plow. I come from a agricultural and farm family, but more people, my daddy always said, pulling in the right direction, we're going to get a lot more done. But if one person's pulling sideways, he creates, as y'all know, creates difficulties.
So, to further that along, communication obviously is a key element to all of this. With respect to the research you did, can you talk about any of the communication elements that took place between the private entity and the public entity, say in Wilson or in Rockingham, how they made it work and happen?
Everyone that spoke with us was very positive. Ian, I know that they talked about participation with everyone, the county commissioners, again, all the way through. Communication is a key to most everything succeeding. I don't know, someone else may be able to give an example of something to that.
I don't recall anything specific about communication. I would just add in terms of the collaboration that there's also defined roles, defined expectations, defined processes. So it's not really, so I do think that there was some, maybe in addition to collaboration, but some structure there of folks knowing what each other was doing.
Yeah.
I don't recall anything with communication, but y'all know.
I think most of the groups said they would meet at least monthly, this public-private partnership. So they would discuss any potential clients or, what needed to be done, whether they're waiting on permits or that sort of thing. So certainly collaboration has to occur. And in 2006, this group did visit other chambers of commerce and EDC groups. And we did go to Alamance County. And in the commissioners meeting, we had Mac Williams come in and speak. And Mac Williams was there in 2006 and we went. And at that time, we were very impressed with their organization because they were basically housed in one building. You go in one building and they ask about a permit and he said, well, let me get Joyce over here. Joyce is in county government bring her over here, and if she doesn't have the answer, she'll go get it, just like that. You're gonna get an answer. Or if you got a question about inspections or environmental studies, he'd point to another door and said, John, come over here and let's talk about, environmental studies, what we've done elsewhere and what it takes to do that now. So what impressed me was that everybody was just about in that room as a representative of those groups, and they can make things happen. And Mac Williams was a good salesman. When you walked in, he made sure he's going to answer all your questions, and he's going to promote Alamance County. And he's going to make that person feel welcome. And they don't need 10 phone numbers to know who to contact in Alamance County to find out about this. All they need is Mac Williams' phone number.
Used to be.
Yeah, he's retired now, but I think he's gone back to work with a contractor to do the same work. So he's good. But the thing that impressed me is here it is 15 years later, and they still have the success they had 15 years ago. Yes, they do have I-85 and I-40 running through there, but there are niches here in Person County. There's niches we can sell. There's niches where we're different. And I think, that's where we got to look at with this group and determine what our niche is and how to go forward. Now realize again, we just done the first phase. We studied what other counties are doing, so we're getting kind of close to what we say we need: private, public organization and something to sell.
And that's the main part of focus is we recommend establishing that first and foremost. And then as it moves forward, then, it reaches out and attaches and associates with many different things as it moves forward. One thing to the point we're talking though, and many of you know, but good leadership at the top. Good leadership has great expectations and what expectations are. So good leadership, and it funnels down. Good leaders keep people in their lanes. My observations.
Any other questions from?
Just a comment, with the Chamber of Commerce. Thank you all today. That's what we need to do.
Well, we appreciate the chamber and everything the chamber's done, and I've served on the chamber board and believe in the chamber, and it's a great organization.
Yes, and that sentiment is shared by everyone here. I think there needs to be some clarification. Even the state of North Carolina has a public-private partnership through the Commerce Department that is now the public-private, that's a lot of words, public-private partnership to say, with the economic development team at the state of North Carolina. That used to be just the Commerce Department ran, especially industrial recruitment, and that was semi-privatized when Pat McCrory was governor. So the state has a model like that. Many counties have a model like that. We looked at 4 counties that had different models. Mac Williams came to outline the model, just the business model, the potential of what could we do. And I think the team here, from what I remember, the drawing that we did on the white paper on the board was, we're a small enough community that we should be able to streamline our operations. And so we look around and go like, what's the obvious entity that we might do this? Most counties that we looked at, including there's Sanford, Lee County, Martin County, Catawba County, they all have committees of 100, or they work through the Chamber of Commerce. So we did float the idea to the chamber. And it's not written in stone. If the chamber doesn't want to be that catalyst, that's fine. We can find other mechanisms within which to work. But I think trying to bring everything under one umbrella for the size of the county for efficiency, and having the private funding mechanisms over a course of 3 to 5 years would impact the economics of and the speed of which we can work with county government to develop better economic development. And that's the premise of the presentation is these are the ideas, these are suggestions. It really is up to the business community if they want to engage, if they want to participate in this. Otherwise, we leave it solely to government. And I'm thinking that we probably don't need to do that any longer.
So hopefully moving forward, and I try not to spend a lot of time looking backwards, but a lot of times, it is a good thing. But again, there are industrial partners in other areas that are common to our area. And I feel remiss that we've had many years here that we could have had that money moving forward. But in any case, with that point, again, what I've noticed and listened to people, this is not going to be like in a month, this is going to like a silver bullet, but it will, as it's seeded, germinated, as it moves along, the success of this in other areas where once a building is secured with someone in it, it rolls right over. So it's a perpetual, keeps moving along. So just to add that point.
You mentioned that study from 2006 that you led, and I found some minutes, I think they were from 2007, where that was actually implemented. I could not find the results from that group to know what happened to it. It was approved and years were done. So what happened to that group?
I think the county commissioners did do some work on that after that, in talking to Gordon Powell. And he didn't know why it stopped. So, that's something I guess the commissioners can look at and see that. And I can certainly send everybody a copy of this presentation we did back then to refresh them of what was done. But I understand there was some work done on it, but the reason it got stopped, changing personnel, whatever it may be, I'm not sure. But you're right, they did. It did stop.
Changes constantly.
Yep.
I want to thank you guys for taking time out of your busy day, your lunch break. We brought pizzas in the back for everybody to have a slice of pizza, have some nourishment before you head back out. Is there any other questions or comments from anyone?
I'd like to make a comment, please. Been a lifelong resident of this county, as most of you are. I remember the days of long ago when the main street was busy 6 days a week. You couldn't find a place to park. All the storefronts were full. It was hustle and bustle. This county was booming. I know the general consensus here today is to provide growth economically. It's a no-brainer, or we would not be here. By advancing industrial development here generates jobs. Jobs create many avenues for growth. Jobs and growth create a stronger tax base for Person County and the state of North Carolina. I commend each and every one of you guys for all of the hours, all of the hard work, all of the phone calls, everything you did to help our county and our EDC board and director to hopefully generate a stronger growth pattern than what we have witnessed in the past X amount of years. My hat's off to you. If I had gift cards, I would give you all a gift card. To you name it, I would have it, but I don't have them with it, but I'm going to find a way to pay you back somehow. Thank you for your time.
Appreciate your
Thank you.
service.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it. I believe,
you.
Tommy, would you like to adjourn us?
At this time, we will adjourn.
That's it.